What I'm going to do next is I want to black out this chrome trim too, similar to what I did with the door handles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same basic wrap tape that I did. It's 3" and I feel like I could cut it in half and still have enough to do the top portion. So I'm going to give that a shot, see how it goes. Alright, so I cut the strips down to a little bit, not exactly half, because this top side is a little bit thinner than this bottom side. So I cut one side a little bit thinner than the other, not by a whole lot. And what I'm going to do is, there's the side that I cut, which is this side, which I'm going to put that on the bottom since that's going to curve in. And I'm going to use the straight, factory cut side on the top, and that's the one I'm going to line up moving along the top edge. So as always, I'm going to clean off the surface really well first. I'm using alcohol. Alright, I'm going to start with this end and then work my way back using the good end as the top. And I'm just hoping that the good end actually is a better cut than mine. The factory cut I'm hoping is nice and straight. But I'm looking at it, it does seem like it's a little bit jaggedy. And my cut side is a little bit better, but I'm just going to stick with my plan. So I'm going to line up the top along this edge really tight. And then all my trim will be just on the bottom side. I don't plan to trim the top side at all if my plan comes out the way I envision it. And there's a little curve, so you want to pull the wrap to bend to the curve. If you need to, just lift up and reapply. And unfortunately, the factory cut is actually not as good as my scissors cut. Because there's a lot of jagged edges, but I'm just going to stick with it. But on the other side, I'm going to use my scissor edge. So I applied the wrap tape to the top end all the way. And this is only the top side. Keep in mind, the bottom side I have not really pushed down yet. And on this end, to stop, and the stop is going to be over here, I'm going to have to make a cut to account for that, the cut in the trim. But anyways, I'm going to cut that later. I'm going to go back to the front and now do the middle and the bottom. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling it down, and then smoothing out all the edges. I don't know if you can see, but I'm pulling one end, the middle, and just kind of work my way down and out to get all that bubbles out. Make it nice and tight. You see any bubbles, just lift up and redo it. You don't want to get too far with that. You don't want to have to fix it after you're all done. You want to fix it as soon as you see any kind of bubbles. And again, I'm not a professional. This is just my opinion. So I pushed it all down, all the way to the other end. And now I'm going to take a microfiber and I'm going to push it in even more and try to smooth everything out. And if you see any bubbles, like I do right now, there's a bubble right there, I'm going to pull it out and reapply it before it gets any worse. bubbles gone. And I pushed it down and I think I got all the bubbles out. Going down all the way to the other end, and I just left the tape there just in case I need to pull it out and reapply for whatever reason. So it's already looking really sharp. I really like it so far. But now I need to trim it down, so I'm going to take a razor blade. I'm going to start from one end and then work the other, and I'm going to try not to cut too deep, because then I'll get to the rubber, which I don't want to do. I want to stay on the edge, on the chrome edge. So I'm using the bottom of the chrome as my guide, so I'm kind of lifting up the razor onto it. As I mentioned before, over on this side there's a cut in the molding, and I'm going to use that as my point where I'm going to stop also. Hopefully I'll just do it just right, and then it'll all come apart. The edges are always a little bit trickier, but I'm going to use my fingernail and just make a real good indentation, and I'm going to hopefully be able to follow that line. So be careful, if you didn't cut everything off, it'll start to peel off what you don't want it to. So make sure you actually cut it, or you'll start peeling off what you want. All right. That's the way it looks. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to do the same to the rest of the trim. Okay, so I'm going to do the window now, and what I did was I rolled down the windows and I propped open the door so that the mirror would stay in the open position to make it a little bit easier for me to get to that edge of the inside. And this inside there's a little angle, so I'm going to go and going to cut a little bit of an angle there on this. To eyeball the angle. It doesn't have to be exact, because oops, I cut it the wrong way. It doesn't have to be exact because you're going to be able to stretch it out a little bit. All right, I think that should do it. So I still have enough after the cut. Yep, it's fine. And now I'll do the same thing here as I did to the top side. Right, so using the same technique, and a little bit more effort because it's a little bit few tighter spots. I did the sill, the driver's side window sill. So now I need to do the back. Back's going to be a little bit tricky. This is going to be the same as the driver's side, but then I'm going to have to do this part right here, which is going to be a little tricky. I'm going to have to think about it. So I got the passenger side, and now I got the front side. Now I did the passenger side, and now what's left is this rear part, which is going to be a little bit tricky. Well, I got the top part on. I forgot to turn on the camera while I was installing it, but I got the top, and I'm going to do the bottom part. All right, so you can see there's a line right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and either overwrap it to go over here and end it like that, or I might try to just line it up perfectly. We'll see how good I am at this. So getting this curved part is really hard to stretch it out enough. Bubbles are already wanting to form because I'm stretching it out so much. Alright, that doesn't look too bad. You can see the crease. It's not too bad. I'm just gonna cut right here and leave it like that. The edges aren't as fantastic as, like I said, the machine cut of the vinyl wrap is not as sharp as I would like it to be, but it's actually going to be okay. Last up is heat gun. Alright, so here's a look at a before shot with the chrome and a look at the after shot with the chrome delete. I think it looks fantastic. And you might be wondering about, hey, what about the rear view mirrors? Well, like I said, I'm not a pro and these curves are just too hard for me, so I'm going to leave it as is.